Welcome to this episode of Mainline Connect. My name is Jennifer Lynn Robinson, and my guest today is Amy Anderson, the CEO of Anderson Productivity Solutions. Welcome, Amy. So thank you so much for coming here today, and we're so glad to have you on the show. We like to start off the show with a networking topic, and I have a real basic one for you that I think will be really helpful to our viewers, and that's just, how do you get the word out best about your business? What have you found to be helpful for you?
As you know, Jennifer, I talk to just about anybody.
Yes.
Okay, I'm a personal person, and I can connect to a lot of different people. What I often do, though, is listen to them, and that's the difference. Is I try to listen to them to see what's going on. It's not all about me,
Right.
but by providing a service to them, I may be able to help them, and then they'll remember who I am. So I help them to, if there's a question and I find out what they're doing with their business, they might say something's a problem for them. They might have a pain point, and I may be able to give that solution. Don't give away the store,
Right.
but giving them a solution, just a little tidbit that will help them in their business, they remember that. They remember that encouragement. So being of service is how I try to get the word out to people.
And I think you said two things that, are very important in the way I network as well, the being of service and the listening. And, sometimes that's really hard, maybe not for us, but for a lot of people starting out networking, they really feel like they have to get out there and make sure that everybody knows everything about them. This is my first time in a networking event. I just started this company. People have to know about my 5 services and the promotions we have and everything I can offer them. And if I don't get all that out, I have failed. I think the opposite is true. Even if you don't get any information out about your business, if you make a connection with people and, like you said, you listen to their needs and maybe you can offer something helpful to them, that's a much more productive conversation and relationship to kind of grow from that event than, kind of spewing out all this information about what you do.
Yeah, and it used to be, how many business cards can you give away type
Right.
of thing. Or, you get the prize if you collect X number of business cards. It is not that anymore.
Yes.
It really is, because we have so much information coming to us from so many different sources. That relationship part is what's critical for people to make a business decision.
Yeah, and I've noticed at this point I collect very few business cards. And usually when I get home, I actually prioritize the business cards, and there are ones that get separated out that are the ones of the people that I really made a connection with and remember. I might connect with the other people, but the other ones that I really made the connection with get put in a separate category and pile and level of follow-up.
Yes.
Yeah.
I often do that, and in fact, if I'm at a business, a place where I have a business card in hand, I'll often take out a pen and write on the back something about them also, so I remember it.
Yeah. Great advice. So tell us, what is Anderson Productivity Solutions?
Anderson Productivity Solutions was formed about 4 years ago. And what the company provides is the outsourced financial processing for small and medium-sized businesses. So the bookkeeping, the analysis, and also the chief financial officer services, working with the business owner so that the business owner can do the things that they love to do best, and the transactions are being done, but without the business owner doing the minutia.
Okay, so they can outsource the things they're not good at.
Right.
Right.
You're probably familiar with many companies outsourcing their payroll.
Sure.
That's the standard process in this day and age. That was new many years ago. Well, this is a new functionality as well now, where the actual bookkeeping is being done. It's being done virtually in most cases. Sometimes it's at the office, but a lot of times it can be done virtually because of the technology.
Yeah.
And by doing that, the business owner has more time to devote to what they like to do best.
Right.
Which
Right.
is not the numbers.
No, for most people it's not the
No,
numbers,
it isn't.
including myself. Yeah. So one of the things I also find interesting, knowing you now for almost 5 years, is both of us early on in our businesses almost immediately rebranded. And you did as well, and I did as well. So tell me about that. Tell me about that process, because I know it was a hard one for me personally. You start a business, you have the name, you know what it's going to do. And I remember coming home and telling my husband, you know what, I'm rebranding the whole thing. And it was less than a year in, and he looked at me like I had 2 heads. You're doing what now? Mm-hmm. Shouldn't you see if you can get this off the ground? Like, what about all that money you just spent on the website and the logo and all this? No, we're throwing all that out the window. Yeah. So tell me about that.
Well, I'm about to throw it out the window again.
Are you really? I didn't even know that. Tell me.
Yeah, so I was at a branding conference a couple of weeks ago, and so the start of my business was 4 years ago. I had the name of a company, and like you said, it was what I felt was a great name.
Right.
It was cute, and nobody knew what I did.
Okay.
So I was at a conference, and I came away telling people again, working with people, working with relationships, and nobody again knew what I did. And I was like, well, okay, something's got to change here. Because you don't want the name of a company where people are searching for you, which is something nobody's going to remember because they're not going to find you.
Right.
And you want it to mean something not only to you, because it is personal, but also to mean something to others, so that when they see it, at least in my opinion, that it means something to them, that they don't have to search hard to figure it out.
Or remember, maybe.
Or remember it. So
Yeah.
like your name, Purposeful Networking, that's fabulous because it tells you exactly what it is that your company does.
Right, right.
And so Anderson Productivity Solutions was great 2 years ago. And then a year ago after that, I really focused on more of what I was doing.
Okay.
And even now, I'm focusing even more with the product and service that I'm offering. And at the conference I was at a couple of weeks ago, still nobody knew what I was doing.
Interesting.
So it's one that's, okay. So actually this Thursday, I'm doing a VIP day with a branding specialist and working with my business coach. And we're going to have a fun day of just figuring out what it is.
So you're going to rename your company?
Rename the company, I think.
Okay.
So anyway, this is new and exciting, hot off the press. So,
right. No, this is, I didn't even know this. This is new news that we're hearing today.
So I'll be able to do a big announcement hopefully in April.
Okay.
But to your point,
yeah.
And this is one of those areas, and your husband referred to as, what about all that investment you've made?
Right.
So in the back of my mind, it's like, okay, I'm just advertising. This is Anderson Productivity Solutions. So you have to consider those things as a business person.
Sure.
Okay, when you do rebrand, what do you do with all the other things that have been out there? How do you get someone still to go to your new website and things like that? So all that comes into play. So anyway, it's going to be an exciting day.
I'm sure you'll have a lot of good help with that at your VIP day, and I can't wait to hear about it.
Yes.
So, yeah. So as far as the services that you are offering through the company, who are they right for, and what do you offer?
So as I said, business owners, primarily the small and medium-sized business owners, went into business for a purpose.
Right.
To sell a product, to sell a service. Rarely did they go in to do the back office operations. And that's actually what I love. Okay, so I love the numbers. As you know,
right.
I've always been a treasurer of this organization or that one. Numbers is my thing. Are taxes or not? So don't get me started on taxes.
Okay.
And so I really help the business owner with focusing on what they do best. And therefore the need is to take that off their plates so they can focus on that time. There are many things that I don't do well. I don't write a newsletter very well, but I produce a newsletter. How do I do that? I delegate that to somebody else.
Yeah.
I don't do my social media. You're great at social media.
Thank you, but not everyone else.
Not everybody is. So when
I'm bad with numbers. Yeah. Yeah.
And so when you know your strengths and you can utilize your strengths, it makes for you to be able to do things much faster with your strengths rather than forcing yourself as a business owner to do everything else.
Yeah.
Nobody can do everything.
No, I mean, we all think we can, but, it's different points where you realize that you can. Sometimes it takes us longer than other times to realize it. And, it's hard to delegate. It is. It's hard to give up control, I think, for a lot of us, but it is necessary.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're restricted. If you don't delegate, you're going to be restricted to what that one person can do.
Yeah, and you're going to be restricted also from the way you are able to grow your business.
Absolutely.
So that's also a very important thing to be a success.
Yes,
so
it
you
is.
want to be able to grow. So tell us about the process when you do take on a client. How does it work? Like, does it work differently for different people? Is it an hourly based service? Do you come in certain times a month? Is it all virtual? Tell us more about the process.
Every client is looked at differently.
Yeah.
Number one, there's no exact model.
Okay.
They all follow, though, a similar process. To your point, we'll have a meeting with the client, okay, and determine, even the pre-meeting is whether it's going to be on-site or virtual.
Okay.
Because of technology, most clients are going to be virtual. And if they were desktop, we're going to move them to the virtual because it makes a lot more sense. Many people are realizing that the information is available virtually that they didn't know before. So I've got a client, for example, who wants to know what her sales are at each of 3 locations for the stores. And before, she would have to go to the main store and look at that information there, which is a day already late.
Right.
Now, she'll be able to look online and see all the stores, and she doesn't have to be present at any of them.
Oh, that's
so
great.
she can be on vacation and do this.
Okay.
And so just bringing the technology in has really helped people. So that's, again, I gave you an example of how that one is working. So that one's virtual. And my team does the bookkeeping of it, does the daily, day-to-day financial transactions. And then I work with the owner to say, okay, do you have a budget? What's your goal? Do you have a product that's being launched? How are we working on this? From a cash flow perspective, are we putting aside money for you? Are we putting aside money for capital investment? Are we putting aside money for taxes? You know, everything has to be considered, and that's why I work with the business owner while the team is working on the day-to-day.
Okay. Now, have you encountered any clients where they have everything sort of on site or at a desktop, and when you talk to them about moving it into the 21st century and virtual, you meet resistance? Have you had that happen?
Yes.
How do you deal with that?
I let them know that they would have to pay extra because my team is not a team that's going to be commuting to their location.
Right.
And usually it's not set up that, you know, the team doesn't want to be sitting there manually entering transactions. So trying to bring them to the 21st century is really critical.
Yeah.
And if there's a miss, well, they may not be the right client for me, and I may not be the right CFO for them.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah. So one of the things I wanted to ask you about is I know from knowing you personally that you've been working in the last couple of years with a few coaches, and that's really changed your professional life and I think even your personal life from what I can see. So tell me about that experience, how that's been for you.
It's been enlightening.
Yeah.
It really has. First of all, I did not realize the business coach world was out there. And I think it started probably in the late 90s, early 2000, and it's now really hitting an area where there are coaches. You have coaches in everything.
For everything.
You've got business coaches, personal coaches, you've got modeling coaches, book
life
coaches, life coaches. Yeah, you name it, there's a coach out there. Really what they're doing is no different from what you and I are doing, which is offering their expertise to have people and businesses grow.
Right.
So the coach that I have, Ivy Slater of Slater Success, is I've met her at the Pennsylvania Conference for Women a few years ago and became her client after just spending really 2 days with her and another group and letting my mind be open to the possibilities. I was very limited in what I could see myself doing as a business owner.
Okay.
Primarily because I didn't have that experience and because my mind had been closed. So when I let it open and let it see the possibilities, and she let me know what a person with my skill sets could do, it really has grown my business dramatically. And I'm talking, the first year my revenue increased 33 times.
That's amazing.
Over the prior year.
Yeah.
This year I'm at 75% over, 2015 was 75% over what 2014 was.
So it's made a big difference.
Huge difference, huge difference. And my team has grown. My number of clients have grown. The level of clients has grown. My team has grown. It's been fabulous. And I'm on par. Again, I'm practicing what I'm preaching.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, I've got a goal. I've got a budget. Am I meeting that? And she's keeping me to actually see also, I've got a vision. She's making sure that that vision is also going to be there.
I feel like in addition to everything you just said, your whole outlook has really shifted in the last couple of years. So speak to that a little.
So there's a mindfulness coach. Didn't know about that one either before. And this whole discussion these days about you can be happy and, you know, just look at life positive. Are you doing affirmations? Are you doing creation statements? It all comes down to what is it that you are doing for you?
Right.
And are you going to put the oxygen mask on yourself first? And we've all heard that in the planes, right?
Of course.
And so when I decided to do that and work with this mindfulness coach, who, by the way, also works with my business coach, so the two of them are helping me together. So both from business, from personal, It has been really amazing because I do see life being more of what I want it to be, not what is happening to me, but having me make the effects on life.
Less reactive.
Totally,
Yeah.
totally non-reactive.
Non-reactive.
Non-reactive, definitely positive, and definitely living life through me rather than at me.
Okay.
So circumstances don't happen to me. I get to choose what is going to happen.
Right, and that's a big shift.
It's a huge shift.
Yeah.
It's a huge shift.
So, besides obviously the coaching, which I think is a great, thing that you've discussed for many people out there, especially entrepreneurs who may need some help, how do you think people can better balance kind of the personal and professional fulfillment in the way that you've been able to in the last couple years?
I'm not sure I'm actually in balance yet. We talked about this weekend, and I worked all weekend, but that is the life of an entrepreneur. However,
and that is a choice.
That
right?
is a choice.
And if there's another weekend where you want to sit and binge watch House of Cards, that's also a choice.
That is exactly right.
Right.
And that's where knowing my business, knowing my numbers, working with my coaches, knowing where I'm going to be, helps me to do all of that. So you are correct. Right now, my priority is my business and my life. So I'm paying attention to my coaches, working with them, and working on my business. So the balance is really in the fact that I'm not working to work. I'm working because I love what I do.
Right.
I'm living life. And the money that I'm earning is a means to do what I want to do. And it's fabulous because of that. And I can do it because this is the way my priorities are, and that's that balance.
Yeah.
So I think it's people have priorities. My priority is me, which is, I truly believe everybody should have that as a priority.
Of course.
Self-love. And then really, what is it that I want to do? My kids are grown. I'm single. So it's about me right now.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with saying that.
No, I think that's great. Yeah. Yeah. So what would you say is your number one productivity tip?
Okay, so this one goes to everybody, well, many people's ignominious, draining time of email. Productivity-wise, I do read every email.
Okay.
Every day.
Right.
I don't have that little button that says how many unread. Every day, every single email is read, and I act upon it. So I may not immediately do something about it, but I move it into a folder which is to be acted on.
Okay.
Or I move it into a folder related to one of my clients, or if it's a personal one, into there. I act upon every single email every single day.
Now, are you, some people have designated times a day where they either look at or respond to email, and then other times a day where they absolutely don't. For example, between 10 and 12, not me personally, but I'm just giving an example. People answer calls or return emails, and then 12 to 4 is work time, and they don't look at email, don't answer calls. Do you do anything like that, or no?
I do the schedule time more for my client work that I have to do.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
However, because of the situation that I'm in with my clients, some of them feel that it's necessary, and so if it's a work day, I don't just look at email then.
Okay.
I'm going to add another productivity tip, though, that another colleague of ours, when I was working with her, she asked what was a productivity waste. Facebook to me was a waste.
Okay.
I love Facebook.
Right.
But that's where I limit myself.
Interesting, because I find Facebook is not a waste for me. Not only do I gain pleasure from it personally, but I find it's actually very effective for my business.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
And because of your business, it
right.
is.
Right.
For
but
me,
not for everybody.
No.
Yeah.
And again, I still look at it every day because
right.
it does give me that personal pleasure. So for me, it's at night.
Yeah.
And I allow myself that time at night. But if I'm in there in the morning or the afternoon, an hour has just gone by where I'm not working on my clients.
Absolutely.
So I started doing that in August, and my productivity went up amazingly.
That makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and again, I think what's important is everybody has to find what works for them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, we were talking about some of the different types of personal fulfillment that you've had in the last couple of years, and I love I wanted to mention some of the cool things that you've done because they're not things that everybody out there has done. So I really felt like they had to be mentioned here. So the two things that I definitely wanted to cover is that you went dog sledding in Canada and you rappelled down a building in Philly, accidentally, really, with Mayor Nutter.
Yes.
So I would love to hear about both of those experiences.
Okay. The dog sledding, is actually, I've done it 5 different times.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
A brother of mine got into this many years ago because of his kids, and he loves it so much. He became a guide for the company.
Okay.
So when he goes up there, I go with him. So I know I'm safe. He's looking out for me. This past year, though, I went with a girlfriend, and we went up there, and it was negative 28 degrees.
And where was this?
In
Canada.
3 hours north of Toronto.
Okay.
And it was 3 days, 2 nights in Lake, what was it like? Anyway, it was in the Algonquin Provincial Park in Canada. Absolutely gorgeous. The sky, I've never seen so many stars. It was just breathtaking. And you've heard of the Iditarod. You've seen that. This is the way the company there operates it, because I am driving the dogs. I'm not sitting on the sled being driven. I'm the one standing there guiding the dogs. I'm taking care of the dogs. I'm feeding the dogs. I'm putting the hay down for the dogs. It is just such an experience because it's so different than everyday life. And you forget the troubles.
Right.
And you're just living for the moment. You really are. And
Yeah.
it's outdoors. It's fun. And yeah, it was cold, but most people, I was prepared for it, and the people I was on were prepared for it because we knew it was going to be cold.
One of those life-changing adventures.
It really was. The rappelling.
And that was for a charity, right?
That was for a charity. Although I signed up not realizing it.
Okay.
I heard about rappelling, and I said, I'm game.
Right, which I love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I found out that I have to raise money. And okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
And the money was for Outward Bound, as it turned out.
Okay.
And to give a sponsorship to a young woman in the area to be able to go to an Outward Bound event. So that was rappelling 31 stories down Logan Square.
Yeah.
And I happened, as you said, to get there. Mayor Nutter didn't wait in line. He doesn't have to.
Right.
I was already scheduled. I'm going down. There's a couple of pictures of me with myself and Mayor Nutter next to me, and he started before I did. I got kind of stuck. He's going on his way down, then he got stuck. I ended up beating him, so didn't really have it as a race, but it was fun.
Right.
The Philly Fanatic did it when I was there. The St. Joe's Hawks. I mean, this had over 200 people participating.
What a neat experience.
Yes.
Yeah. So what's your next cool thing that you're doing?
I was going to say, so I was just talking to the person today, getting the date for this coming year.
Okay.
Which is in October again. And they've added a new twist. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Traversing between 2 buildings, hand over hand, 41 stories up.
So is that on a wire?
On a wire.
Oh, my. Okay.
Going between 2 buildings.
Wow.
So
How do you feel about heights?
I'm not scared of them.
Okay, me neither. Yeah. So now, is this the kind of thing, will they help you practice beforehand? Or?
Well, the rappelling, we had one practice.
Okay.
So I'm sure they will.
Okay.
Okay, it's an organized one through Outward Bound again.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
wow.
I'm taking people to, if you're interested, let me know. Rappelling, and then this hand over hand. All for fundraiser
cool.
for Outward
Yeah,
Bound.
I love that it's for a great cause.
Yeah.
And, that gets into something else I wanted to talk to you about. You're very involved in your local community. I know you're very big in Rotary. And, you sit on the board for Pals for Life, which is a great local nonprofit that provides therapy animals. Tell us about some of the reasons that you want to stay so involved in community endeavors.
Well, I think it goes to who I am, which is, I like to help out with people.
Yeah.
And these organizations are fabulous. Rotary is something my father was in many, many years ago, and I joined that about 3 years ago, not for the business connections, although it's definitely there, but more because it is service above self. That's what Rotary stands for, and it's an international organization. Mm-hmm. So I was at a conference in Orlando last year, and I was able to go to a Rotary meeting, which was held at Disney World. I can go to any city and find a Rotary organization. And it's just a great, great organization that helps people in the U.S. and in the world. We've gotten very, very close. I'm sure you've seen the ads for polio and eradicating polio. It's now down to just 2 countries. So you see a lot of actors with this close. That's getting rid of the polio. And it's because of Rotary that's done that. With Pals for Life, you've had Paula Keelik here on this same program. It's an organization that she's had for over 30 years. They just celebrated their birthday. And when she asked me to be on the board this past year, I've known her for a few years and such, and I immediately said yes, because it does provide the therapy, the stories that she can tell about the people that she's helped, old people and senior citizens, the young kids who cannot read, and they see this bunny, and all of a sudden they're reading. Or, you know, they're hugging an animal that they never thought they would ever see again because they're in a home. All of that is getting to the heart of humans, and that's what I'm really interested in.
I love that. And one of the things I just wanted to talk about as a great networking tip is what you mentioned with Rotary. Because it's a national and international organization, the fact that you're able to go to any city, that's a great means of networking in and of itself, because tomorrow you could have to travel to Texas and you could say, who's there in Rotary, what's going on in Rotary where I'm going, and it's a great way to meet new people in a new city. So I love that about what you said. Yeah.
In fact, I was at another group that you and I are both members of, the Femfessionals, which is a fabulous, fabulous organization. I was at a conference a couple of weeks ago, and there was the president of the Houston Femfessionals. And I understand you got to meet her last week at your event.
Such a small world, yes.
Yeah. So again, having organizations like that, whether it's Rotary, Femfessionals, ones that you can reach out to no matter where you are, because in this day and age, you know, we're close. There's nowhere we can't travel anymore.
Right. That's wonderful. So tell us what you have coming up. Do you have some events or speaking engagements or anything you'd like to talk about? Or?
I do.
Yeah.
In May, there's my business coach, Ivy Slater, is having Slater Success Live. It's a one-day event in New York City, and I'm a sponsor there. So Slater Success Live on May 17th, and I have some complimentary tickets there.
Okay.
And then Headroom, which is a co-working space that
We've had Dan Levens on the show,
that's
actually.
Right, yes. So they have, there was a boot camp a couple of weeks ago, so they've decided to expand that now, and the event is Headroom Academy.
Okay.
And so I'm one of the speakers for that, and that's, again, Headroom Academy. It's going to be held in the Wayne location, and it's a 5-week session with two topics every Friday afternoon. For 5 weeks straight.
Wonderful.
Yes.
And you'll be one of the speakers.
I'll be one of the speakers. Oh, and after the 2 sessions, then of course there's a happy hour.
Okay.
So, a way for people to network and get to know each other.
So to learn and then have drinks together.
That's right.
Yes, I love it. Okay, great. And how can people reach to you if they're interested in learning more about becoming a client, or maybe they know somebody who might need your services?
Thank you for asking. Amy Anderson, note the 2 S's. The company name is Anderson Productivity Solutions. On the web, it's andersonps.com, and my email address is amy@andersonps.com.
Wonderful. So we only have about a minute left, and I know we've been talking about some of the cool stuff you've done and your new challenge coming up in October. What else do you maybe have on a bucket list that you want to just share as a last tip to our viewers, as far as something that's not business related, but maybe somewhere you've always wanted to go, or something you have as a goal for this year?
A goal for this year is travel, and again, I mentioned this before, is why I have work is to be able to do things.
Yeah.
And I didn't travel. I traveled a lot, more than some people, but not as much as others. And so that travel bug has hit me now. And so this year, I'm going to a place where I grew up, but never really explored in the same way, which is the Eastern Shore of Maryland.
Oh, one of my favorite places.
Yes,
yeah.
So I grew up very close. We're right on the Severn River, and in Baltimore, and partook of the river there many, many times, but never really knew about it because I was a youngster. So I'm going on a trip with my father and his wife, and we're doing just a week at one of the places near Salisbury, Maryland, and learning all about the oysters and the crabbing and things like that.
Okay.
And then the bucket list for me is New Zealand and Australia.
Wonderful. Okay, well, we hope you can make it happen.
I'm
sure
planning.
you can. Yeah. Thank you so much for being with us today, and thank you all for joining us, and we will see you next time.